back to the Pit Stop Ranch. Over the last few months we've been assembling this race engine. The whole point of it is we want to make sure that it runs and works and does what it needs to. We can break in the cam and just generally get it to a good position before we oil it all up, wrap it up in plastic, and stick it in the back of the container until we get around to building flow. And on this journey we're taking a well, it's an engine stand that someone else had modified into an engine run stand for our 354 Chrysler Firepower Hemi. When I bought the Hemi, the seller was kind enough to toss this in with the deal as a package. And so this video I'm going to go through and making this run stand work for a flathead.
And this one right here, they'll go like right there and right there respectively with a little L bracket so we can put the motor mount in there and we can bolt that down. Well, angle iron, yeah.
I wanted to take a minute here and go ahead and give you a little background on this thing. Obviously it is actually just an engine stand for working on engines, and it was a fairly stout one originally. Now I actually, of course, met the gentleman who did it. He is the gentleman whom I purchased the Hemi that's going to eventually go into the 28-29 Tudor. Very nice gentleman, very meticulous mechanic. Unfortunately, it seems as though he used a flux core Harbor Freight MIG welder to booger weld this thing together, and it holds remarkably well given the quality of the tools he was using. So one of the things that we are going through and doing is fixing those. The other thing we need to do, obviously, since the motor mounts in different places, as you can see, and you watched us, we moved the supports. The challenge with this is it's not easily reconfigurable. It requires some fabrication to do so. Cutting and welding and moving supports around, and obviously the intent is to use as much scrap as possible to do it, to keep the cost at a minimum, much as the gentleman who built it. As such, once this is now configured into running the Flathead, our intention is to go ahead and run all the Flatheads on it. Finish putting together our stable of 3 Flatheads, another 8BA, and as well as a 59A. And then after that, I'm not sure what the next engine on here will be. We'll be able to, you know, reconfigure it, move it around, and as we go along, we might even modify it and change it so that it is more easily reconfigured. It doesn't require the fabrication. But for now, that's kind of a little background, a little history on this thing. Back to the actual work. So this construct here was what the radiator was mounted to, the radiator for the Hemi, which is actually a really nice aluminum radiator that may or may not go into something in the future. However, we have a nice truck radiator for that actually works with a Flathead, so that's what I'm going to be mounting on. So my plan right now is to basically cut this up and then reconstruct it to fit the radiator I want to use. There we go. Okay, this is the control panel that came with it, and it's a bit of a mess. Need to work out how we want to do this, and there's a lot of a lot of interesting wiring going on here. One strong argument is just to pull it all off and redo it all. Another argument would be to trace them and keep the ones that we need and get rid of everything else. Okay, for the sake of keeping everything straight as far as wiring diagram, like wiring schematics go and coloring and everything, I'm going to do my best with the piles of wiring scrap that exist, both what I just took off of this engine run stand, plus the leftover wiring from building my C10 and rewiring an old Jeep. Not that it wasn't BJ. I should be able to, I'm going to use these schematics to do the engine wiring for this. Now obviously this being Ford and being a Flathead, that's not going to be at all consistent or accurate, but my intent is not accuracy, my intent is to make this thing so it's easy to look at and diagnose and understand where stuff is for future use of the engine run stand. So for the purposes of the engine run stand, I'm going to be wiring this thing like it is a GM production vehicle, since that is what I'm most familiar with and what I've done the most with. So that's what we're going to do.
Where the carriage went away as it pulled away. Left.
So there you go. That is reconfiguring our engine run stand, modifying it, rewiring it, getting it into what I consider good running condition, usable shape for our Flathead. If you want to support us and you like what we're doing, hit the little like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. Really appreciate it a lot. Helps us out. Have a fabtastic day.